Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Newsroom Africa, channel 405. It is a Sunday afternoon. That means it's time to chat about sport. My name is Marc Lewis. Welcome to Sport On. We have a very, very unique show lined up for you tonight. And I'll tell you why. Not only do we have a marketing extraordinaire, we have one of the best South African sporting agents available to come through to the show tonight as well. And we'll be chatting about a young sensation. We love doing that here on Newsroom Africa. We love chatting about the future and forward planning as well. Welcome to 405. My name is Marc Lewis, and we're about to get stuck into the show. There's a lot to discuss, as you can imagine, and a lot of live action as well. Kaizer Chiefs are currently on the field. The Hungarian Grand Prix is currently underway as well. So between now and 5 o'clock, we'll take all of your views, get all of your thoughts, and share the latest sporting stories with you right here on the show. Speaking of the PSL, I hope you were able to catch some of the action yesterday. Orlando Pirates coach Mitchell Sredovic says that there's still a lot to improve on, and despite moving forward, his side still needs to get a lot better. The Buccaneers picked up a 3-1 win over Bloemfontein Celtic thanks to strikes and goals from Augustine Malinga, Innocent Maila, and debutant Frank Mmango.
All areas of our game need to improvement, but I need to put a special mark to the team that they have carried young boy Thabiso Moyane, who has debuted today, and we are happy that we have introduced him. He's product of our youth system, and I would just say that all the areas, game organization with much more verticality going forward, creating chances and converting them, but also much better defending, because we have a low opponent so many times to face our defense. What against some opposition that will be with higher level of quality could be very costly. So the way time goes, we need to correct and improve, and this is what we are looking for.
I would like to imagine you're in a pretty good position if and when your coach is saying there were so many errors, yet you still walk away with a 3-1 victory. Now, Mamelodi Sundowns coach Pitso Musumani says that the Tshwane derby never fails to entertain.
When we play Super Sport, we're always giving each other. Ne? It's an open bout. Ne? It's a give and take, and a give and take. That's why it produces results, because they believe they can beat us, you know, and we also believe we can beat them. And once it becomes an open game, obviously the quality will help you on what to do. But the derby will always be a derby, and it's beautiful because we respect each other. We are from the same. We are from Tshwane, but when it comes to the match, we're giving each other, and after the match, we are brothers. You know? So I don't know what makes us score goals, but we want to score goals, and last year we didn't score goals, Sundowns. So this year we have to score goals.
Meanwhile, SuperSport United coach Kaitano Tembo believes that one major challenge for the squad this season is to deliver consistently strong performances.
The challenge is for us to be consistent. You know, you're playing a derby, your first game. Players are always looking forward to play a game of this magnitude. But the challenge is for us going forward, you know, to be consistent, you know, and dish out the same performance week in, week out. That's the challenge. I've got a good squad, but we need to be a little bit more consistent. That's my challenge.
So those are just some of the views of some of the coaches from yesterday. I remind you again, the Kaizer Chiefs are currently on the field in a moment's time for the second half. We'll bring you the latest there, and the Hungarian Grand Prix, which is currently taking place too. I actually was having a conversation with a colleague of mine earlier on today, and I kept on harping about young Max Verstappen and how if and when it will take him to, how long it will take him to become a future world champion. That is my stamp of approval. Enough Formula One, enough football for now. We want to chat about cricket. There was a lot happening yesterday evening. It was the CSA Annual Awards Gala night, where Cricket South Africa goes on to award and reward the most prestigious prizes and the best players over the last season that took place. But there's obviously a much bigger discussion that's now taken place following the awards. In order to have that conversation, Gift Xaka joins me live in studio. Gift, good evening and welcome back, or good afternoon, welcome back. I'm so used to being in the evenings with Kathy, so excuse me if I say good evening to you 5 times today. I would love to have spoken about the awards tonight, and I would love to have spoken to you about Faf du Plessis and Dane van Niekerk and Marizon Karp doing wonders. But the irony is that off the back of a CSA Awards, which is meant to be this really fun, glitzy, glamorous affair, we then wake up to news that there's not only been managerial restructuring, but in fact the entire managerial coaching staff right now are no longer going to be working alongside the Proteas.
Look, it was long coming.
Was it?
Yes.
Was it long coming? All right, tell
we
me
knew
why.
Definitely when we finished 7th in the World Cup that there was going to be restructuring. And look, people have said it that it's going to happen. Otis might stay, Otis might go, but we didn't expect the whole coaching staff to go. We wake up to the news saying the whole coaching staff is gone, Otis is gone. Even Dr. Musachi said no, he's not, taking over after this. And the board accepted his resignation. So it's been long coming. We said it that there was going to be a mass exodus of players, of management, and all of that. I think the CSA are now taking a way forward, and this was done last week in the board meeting, and they've just said it now this morning. They didn't want to obviously overshadow the awards last night. They waited for everyone to celebrate with those superstars, and then afterwards we wake up to such news.
Okay, well, the news is, in case you have missed it, is that Corey van Zyl has now been appointed as the Director of Cricket, and he will, for the interim at least, be overseeing everything when it comes to the side. Otis Gibson will no longer be the head coach, and as mentioned now by Gift, his team manager, Dr. Mohammed Musachi, has decided that he will not be continuing beyond this month as well. I want to speak to you about the timing of the announcement. I get what you're saying around the fact that they didn't want to overshadow the awards, and that's a really positive day, and some might regard this as negative news. But if this is meant to be the aftermath of the World Cup, don't these decisions happen post-World Cup press conference the Monday morning? This almost gives the impression that they weren't sure that this was meant to be the plan, that maybe they had to fight through this kind of decision, because I would assume that if and when there's a poor, disappointing World Cup, the very next day off and the captain resigns, the coach decides he's not staying on board. Yet for a few weeks, everything just stayed as it was. Is the timing perhaps a little bit troublesome, or perhaps does that raise some questions?
I don't think it is. They had to first, wait for the report from the coach, from the coaching staff, from the captain, and from all the stakeholders. Remember, Cricket South Africa, Tabang said it that he doesn't want to make emotional decisions. Mm-hmm. And I think it's the right time to make such an announcement. I know people are going to say we're going to India soon and who's going to take over and all of that. That has nothing to do with what's going to happen. I think the next appointed coach will be the one that will take us through to the next World Cup. But at this stage, they are looking at who's going to come in as an interim coach. Now there's 4 candidates here. You're looking at Jeffrey Toyana, who's recently been appointed as a Northern's coach. Mm-hmm. And also there's Mfuneko Ngam, who's now the boiler coach. And then you've got the Enoch Nkwe, who was awarded last night as one of the best coaches. And we're not sure who's going to take over. And you're looking at Mark Boucher. Now, those are the top 4 candidates locally. I don't think South Africa will look outside in terms of the coach because of what happened with Otis. I would say the timing was perfect. We didn't want people to make emotional decisions. People do retire after the World Cup. People do crazy things. But I think this was a well-thought process. This was not, your emotional decision.
Do you think that if I were to focus on 2 of those candidates, one being Mark Boucher, the other one being Jeffrey Toyana, when Jeff Toyana was busy structuring the Lions into the best domestic team in the country, many people then were crying out for him to get the South African job. Otis then got given the job, and he did, fairly well, let's call it that. Has the ship passed for Jeff now? Obviously now to be taking part of a northern side is not really top flight cricket. Surely you want your international coaches to be, coaching as high a level as possible. Has the ship passed for Jeff, or is he still very much an applicable person to come through?
I think he is. Look at the experience that the guy has. Look at the playing background that Jeffrey has. Look at the coaching background that he has. Remember, Jeffrey is not just a franchise coach. He's been in the setup with the under-19s for a very long time. That's SA under-19s as well. So I think he's still there. He's still in the running. But there are other 2 surprise candidates that I think we forgot about. Your Jack Cullis coming in with the IPL experience, your Gary Kistin.
Surely IPL experience is not enough to get you to become the coach of the Proteas.
Look, stranger things have happened in the past. If you bring your legends back, and the way we're rooting now, I wouldn't be surprised if
perhaps as a consultant or a batting coach, that I get, but you cannot tell me that working alongside the Kolkata Knight Riders for 3 months of a year allows you to then take a team to a World Cup, Gift, surely.
Look, Gary coached India with no coaching background, and he won the World Cup.
Led them to a World Cup.
Yeah,
that's true.
So it's not the experience that you get, but it's how you manage the change room and how you go about things in the change room. I think we will see lots of surprises, but I hope whatever decision that Cricket South Africa make, it's the right one.
Who is your front runner? Who is your front runner?
Well, I'll give it to Enoch. He's done well. Enoch has done well. But now the question is, will he pick his own coaching staff, or will they pick his coaching staff for him? I would say give him a run, let him pick his own coaching staff so that, people can be accountable. And from there onwards, we can see who he can work with. Mark Boucher, I'm sure he can work well with Enoch. Mandla Mashimbi, the assistant of the Titans, can work well as well. I mean, look at the Titans, they've done well over the years. So I'd say Enoch is now the front runner to take that job.
The fact that Faf du Plessis has continued, I still feel that he has a good, maybe season or two of cricket left in him. Does he then need to fall on the sword as well as being a part of this disappointing World Cup, or does the player remain unscathed and the management falls aside?
Look, an announcement was made as well saying there will be a new captain. I think Faf will play as a player, just to feed off the experience, give it to the youngsters and all of that. But I think his days as a captain, that's over. Let's wait for Tuesday. I'm sure Tabang will tell us more. But I think Faf is done as a captain, but he will still be there as a player. And they can use that experience. I mean, you don't go to the shop and buy that experience. We need him to talk to the youngsters and all of that.
Okay, well, listen, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Chatting cricket with you was always very fun. And you mentioned Tuesday. That is indeed when a press conference has been called for Cricket South Africa, perhaps to outline the new future, the new way forward, the new guard for Cricket South Africa. That'll be announced on Tuesday. We'll have all those details for you then. But, of course, still plenty more to speak about now. You're tuned in at 405. My name is Marc Lewis. Welcome to Sport On. We chat to a marketing sensation right after this. Have seen what went behind the scenes. Welcome back to Sport On. There's still a lot to speak about, and Vivian Casaletti will be on your camera in just a few moments' time. I do want to remind you, as you can see behind me, that the 2019-2020 ABSA Premiership season is officially underway. Kaizer Chiefs, I promised you, will give you an update there. They're currently taking on Highlands Park. Let's show you exactly what is happening in that match right now. Kaizer Chiefs not having it all their way, I'm afraid, and a lovely turnout as well, by the way. Chiefs playing in that new beautiful away kit. I find the away kit far, far more attractive than the home kit. But hey, that is just my personal view. Coming up to the hour mark, it is Chiefs 2 and it is Highlands Park 2. We'll keep you updated with that game if and when more goals start to come through.
Effectively turned over. Mbata's got Yusser on the overlap. Support as well from Mokoena. Now the delivery, a little too close to the keeper.
And he'll come back.
Boomer, of course, would have picked up invaluable experience in Egypt at the Africa Cup of Nations, even though he didn't play. The backup goalkeeper to...
So there we go, Kaizer Chiefs up against Highlands Park, 2-2 as we approach the 1 hour mark. And it's very ironic as well that we do speak about Kaizer Chiefs at this particular time, because the woman that you're about to see, Vivian Casaletti, certainly has had a very long, rich history with the club as well. Marketing officer and director, or chief. Do I have to put chief in front of it? That makes it sound far more official, doesn't it? So can I say chief marketing officer and director? Is that your official title, Viv?
Well, you know, those are the titles people like to use. You know, us marketers are very creative.
I joke about Kaizer Chiefs, but you've had a very long history with the sport of football and with the club in particular. And for someone that perhaps has not been involved in the footballing scene and may not know your face or your name, please try and take me back and just educate me on how is it then that you were able to, I almost want to say, stumble into football and just make it into an entire career and a lifestyle for you?
Well, it wasn't stumbling, to be honest, because my family, if you remember well, in the 90s had Xaka, that famous sports brand, which is actually
still doing the rounds
still
today,
doing very well today. And so that's how I stumbled. I didn't really stumble. I
got thrust into it.
Yeah. And I think the love for football and the love for sports in general was always there. And I studied marketing, and I mean, what better industry to go in than sports? You know, it's just got that power to unite people and just bring people together. So I think thanks to my family that had Xaka in those days, and they were like pioneers of marketing in those days, because, you know, with a high-end sports brand like that, they sponsored during apartheid time football. So they were sponsors of first Mamelodi Sundowns, then the first official fully integrated Bafana Bafana, and then Kaizer Chiefs, and that's how it all started.
I remember the Kapa Bafana jersey very, very well. But you brought up Kaizer Chiefs now, and then you took the next phase of your career going and joining the club.
Yes.
That must have been probably a very unique move as well, because I don't think that many people would have had your kind of background being at the club. So did you stand out whilst you were at Kaizer Chiefs?
Well, you know, I'm just so grateful to have had that opportunity of working with Chiefs, because you work with a man that is a true visionary and a true leader. And I think, you know, Kaizer Chiefs is where it is today thanks to him. And he's actually realized his vision, because when I go and I see the village now as it is, that was his vision for like 20 years ago. That's what he saw, and that's what he made happen. And I think Kaiser's a great leader, he's a great motivator, and he gets the right people around him to make his vision come to reality. And that's why I was so fortunate to be working for him, because, you know, with every crazy idea and with our vision of becoming the biggest team in Africa and recognized the world over. Yeah. We were always the first. Our vision was, our mission was always to be the first at everything. So when we came up to him to say we want to have a website, he was like, a website?
Website for what? Who reads football websites?
No, in 2000, I think, 2001, a website? No, our fans don't have internet. They can't look at their website. But, you know, after convincing him and he seeing the value of giving value to your sponsors, giving value to your fans, giving platforms to your fans. And we always joke around, even with Amy, which is the CEO of Optimize, and I work together, my sister. We laugh. We said, we came up with the first Facebook. We should have done Facebook.
You could be multi-trillionaires right now, exactly. And you just didn't follow through on your idea.
I know, right?
You let some kid from America steal your idea.
Unacceptable. Could have been African. Absolutely. But we had a chat board on the website. On the website, we had a chat board, and every evening after training, we had a player on the chat board live. Well, not evening, actually afternoon, because people connected during office hours and still do. And we always had a chat board. We had a moderator, and we had so people could ask them questions and they would answer. We had a cyber center at the village, and players were live answering questions.
So that really was the
That's Facebook.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say that really was the baby steps towards what we know as social media now. It's obviously far easier to contact players,
Exactly.
but you guys were breaking ground in becoming arguably the first team, probably
We were the first team.
on the continent to be able to sit down and allow fans to interact directly with players.
And that's key, engagement, always being part of your fans, always letting your fans know first, always making them part of the brand of this club. And I think that's what they're doing very successfully now. I mean, Chiefs has got huge social media reach and a voice, and yeah, I mean, they're doing great.
During the recent AFCON in Egypt, we understandably were going through old past competitions and highlights. We were comparing previous performances, etc. And naturally, we came across the World Cup in 2010. And one of the highlights that we showed was actually the Bafana Bafana bus parade in Sandton. And I remember covering that bus parade. At the time, I was working right there. And I was in the streets fighting my way through 100,000 people at the time.
Crazy.
And that brings you back to this point now that you yourself as well were heavily involved in 2010. And alongside millions of South Africans who got to enjoy the World Cup, you certainly had a very different perspective of the 2010 World Cup. Take us back 9 years then and let us know how your World Cup was.
Wow, I mean, what a great time.
9 years, by the way, just FYI. That's how old we're getting.
I
9
know.
years ago
We
was
were
the World
checking
Cup.
some pictures out the other day in the office. I said, can you believe it? It's already 9 years ago. And next year it's 10 years ago. But anyway, that must have been the best year of my life, the best time of my life. But I think for the whole country as a whole, the energy that was there, it was just so beautiful. And I had the opportunity of doing all the merchandising for Bafana Bafana and SAFA. I was heading up an agency called SAFA Legal and Management. And we were in charge of all the licensing. So we signed contracts with the various licensees to have the rights to use the Bafana logo on various products. And what we did with Adidas, we gave them the rights for, they call it non-asset branded. So the asset branded is obviously their Adidas soccer jersey that costs a fortune. I mean, rightfully so. It's got a lot of technology in it. But we were saying, no, we need something for the fans. And in fact, our strategy, and I'm not going to blow my own horn, but it's the truth, our strategy was used by Adidas in Brazil as well, because our markets were very similar. You know, we were emerging markets. So what we did a strategy for each segment of the market. So we had a merchandising range that would be available at Pick and Pay at 99 Rand. Then we had a range that was available at Woolies at 199. And then we had a fashion range that was available at like your fashion sports stores. Because we were saying we have to give people authentic stuff that they can afford. They only buy counterfeit because they can't afford it. Because if they had a choice of buying authentic, they would buy authentic.
Because the reality is for a fan of any caliber to spend nowadays, sadly, probably 700, 800, 900 Rand going upwards on a football jersey is outrageous. I mean, there are probably, 1% of South African football fans that would be able and willing to spend 1,000 Rand on their favorite football jersey. And is that something that you think still needs to be worked on from a South African point of view to make apparel more accessible, to make replica jerseys more accessible for fans?
I definitely do. There's still such a huge gap in the market. I thought, it would have been nice to have continuity after the World Cup and have the same kind of strategy going forward. But I think our market is also quite small for these big brands. Adidas invested a lot because it was a World Cup and because, the home team usually is the flavor. So people will tend to buy the local team of merchandise. And in fact, we did so well during that World Cup. I mean, you saw our vision was to create a sea of yellow, and we had a sea of yellow. And it brings so much joy to my heart when I see people still wearing that stuff.
It's that three-quarter jersey, wasn't it? Was it the three-quarter arm Bafana jersey?
No, that was the Adidas, so they're not ours.
I recall so clearly having a three-quarter jersey, the three-quarter arm length.
I think they had something like that.
Yeah, I remember it being very fun.
No,
as well.
ours was just the basic one with just the Bafana logo. I mean, at Woolworths you would find the more funky stuff, the zipper tops, the cool things. But it's so nice to see people still wearing that stuff, and the quality is still amazing.
Yeah. If we fast forward a couple of years as well, not only do you get to work alongside Kaizer Chiefs, not only do you get to work alongside some of the biggest names and brands during the World Cup, but you then got, if I can call it, European experience as well by being involved in the Champions League. Because, again, if you ask any football fan, and here, just by the way, is the reach that Vivian was speaking about of the Kaizer Chiefs Twitter page right now with over 1 million followers. I'm getting quite old. Is that 1.6 million followers currently doing the rounds for Kaizer Chiefs? And very nice to see A follows you back. Makes me feel nice and good for my ego. But the reality is that for 1.8 million people, this exactly as you said, this is a voice, a direct line to the club and to the players. But I want to bring us back to the UEFA Champions League in 2016, because to take nothing away from South Africa, to take nothing away from what you've been able to do domestically and locally at the time, to take it then into a European field back in 2016 must have been an incredible experience for you as well. Tell us about Milan 2016.
Oh, that was amazing. I mean, not only for me, the Champions League is the best quality football. It's the best.
No one will fight you on that in the studio.
It's absolutely the best. And the way that it's grown, especially on our continent, is also great, because now, our talent has been identified even more than before. So it's opening doors also to the African continent, which I love. That's the quality of football we all should be aspiring to, right? Those are the competitions we all should be aspiring to. The eventing, the entertainment, that is what we look forward to. So having that opportunity of being chosen to participate and work on...
Oh, and there you are with the trophy alongside it.
That's my Italian team. That's my Italian football team. Yeah, it was so much fun. I had so much fun. And the nice thing about the UEFA, they have got these programs that bring in literally people from all over the world to have these kind of experiences. And they obviously, depending on your, those are South African friends that I met at the media.
Yes, Neil Andrews as well. We know
Yeah.
them all too well. And when you step onto the UEFA Champions League page, where you jump up to 24.3 million followers, it just shows you again the reach that the brand has. And of course, as you said, when you're able to put on the kind of show that they are with the budget that they have, it's understandable as to how and why they become this mega machine that they are. Before I let you go, what is next for Optimize?
Well, Optimize now is not a, obviously our passion is sport. We love it so much, and we do it with all our heart and soul. And we work a lot with the Nelson Mandela Foundation, so we do a lot of events for them, sporting events, because, obviously in Madiba's words, the power, there's nothing like the power of sport to unite people. It's such a huge unifier. So we do a lot of events for them that are fundraisers. So we do the Mandela Remembrance Walk and Run in December. We're working on a golf day now. So that's what's in the pipeline. And we're also doing what we're putting together. Basically, we're using sports as a platform to communicate positive messages, because there's nothing like sports. I mean, you'll have a great next superstar on this couch, after me. And there's nothing like these flag bearers, like these proudly South African athletes that can tell positive stories. So we're compiling a whole lot of content and stories of our sports people and our rising stars and our past, former athletes that just touch the heartstrings of people. And these are stories that need to be told worldwide. So we're working on content. We pride ourselves on being very innovative and putting together, curating great sports content as well.
Well, listen, you are telling fabulous stories. You yourself an incredible life story to tell as well. I want to thank you for your time. It's so lovely to have you on today. Please go well, and we'd absolutely love to have you back on anytime soon. Whenever you're ready, you just let us know. We'd love to welcome you.
Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure.
There we go. That's Vivian Casaletti joining us live in studio. A very quick pop back to the Kaizer Chiefs game to show you what is happening there, taking on Highlands Park. I believe the action is still 2-2 as it stands. We have about probably 18 minutes with a bit of added time, maybe 22 minutes left in the match to see whether Chiefs or Highlands Park are able to find a winner.
But that doesn't mean Highlands Park has taken the foot off the pedals themselves. In fact, this has made it for a more open game, because it means that at a given time Highlands Park can come out and create a chance, with Chiefs playing a bit more open as well.
Maluleke, Godinho, Manyama. Chiefs on the move.
sectors, then boy, oh boy, is he going to be very close by the end. So, striking distance on the final lap, Sebastian Vettel. We barely talked about the Ferraris here, but on the final lap, we could have Hamilton right behind Verstappen and also Vettel right behind.
Cars in the game now, 3 of them for Chiefs, 2 for Highlands Park.
Get a podium, and what would be a second podium, of course, in successive.
Welcome back to Sport On this afternoon, right here on Channel 405 Newsroom Africa. My name is Marc Lewis. Welcome to the show. Plenty of live action on the go today. We just showed you Kaizer Chiefs and Highlands Park still locked at 2-2 going into the final 10 minutes of the match. However, the Hungarian Grand Prix is currently underway as well. And as it stands, Lewis Hamilton is leading with about 10 laps to go. Let's show you what's going on there.
Verstappen's running out of tyres, guys, and Mercedes has been on the radio as well to Lewis saying that they predict that by the end of the race, Max is going to be down to 0 rubber.
And do you remember, of course, Martin, back in 1998, as we look at this battle again, there was almost rubber rubbing between the two there. 98, Michael Schumacher stuck behind the McLaren. Ross Brawn pitted Michael Schumacher, says, go and give it a go, and he did, of course, and he won.
Catches on, mate, it will be at the end of the race. Predict he'll be down to 0 rubber.
And the amount of laps that Michael Schumacher had to close and overtake Mika Häkkinen, 20 laps. Could history be about to repeat it?
So with 10 laps to go, it is Max Verstappen that leads the race. Lewis Hamilton currently in 2nd, Leclerc in 3, and Sebastian Vettel in 4. We'll keep you updated there as we head into the final 10 laps of the Hungarian Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton was leading a few moments ago, so obviously a very nice move from young Max Verstappen to get through to first place. And there we see a new lap record as well for Lewis Hamilton. So he certainly is moving along very, very well. Now, whenever Lewis Hamilton is on the track, whenever there's Formula One, in fact, on the track, there's a lot being said on social media. Lewis Hamilton, an incredibly popular figure. Let's see exactly what you've been saying on social media, on Twitter, with regards to the Hungarian Grand Prix and what exactly is doing the rounds. I don't think Verstappen is going to win this, is the first tweet coming through. How is it then that you think Max Verstappen will not win? Now, with 10 laps to go, is it perhaps that the youngster is not then going to be able to close this out? I wonder. Hamilton is coming for you, Max. Hashtag Hungarian GP. The youngster will be looking over his shoulder, no doubt about that. Hamilton getting closer and closer. Is he going to take the lead before the pit stops? F1 Hungarian Grand Prix from J.A. Brown. And I believe one more tweet to come through as well. My tyres are good. So that means the Mercedes coming into the pit lane was blatant cheating from Billy Mann, suggesting that there's cheating taking place. Oh dear, I certainly hope that that is not the case with regards to the Hungarian Grand Prix. We'll keep you updated then as we head into the final 9 laps of the race. Now, to continue the discussion and move along here on Newsroom Africa, we've had the cricket discussion, we've had the marketing extraordinaire to come through. And what about sporting agents? More often than not, it's the talent themselves that then find themselves in front of the cameras. They certainly are, you know, the ones that the fans go on and relate to and find themselves being the centerfold. But who is it then that runs these players' lives? Who is it then that makes the decisions, that gets them where they are today? That is where such sport agents come into the set and come on. Matsatsi, thank you so much for joining us in studio. It is wonderful to have you here. I imagine, understand and recognize the work that gets done by a sporting agent. If I were to ask you to try and give me an Oxford Dictionary breakdown as to what is it that you do, how would you be able to sum that up?
Okay, thank you so much for having me. Oh, where do I start? It is such a lot of work to do that you get to do behind the scenes, where, you know, some of the things that, you know, people are not even aware that, you know, you get up to because it's not out there in the public space. So but basically what you do, it starts off from identifying the talent, where you assemble a team. Of course, me being a person who's got a legal background, what I do, I work with a team that would then go out and source, you know, talent, and then we get them into our books, and then from there we then check what sort of strengths and talents, because it's not only about, you know, being the ability to play football. there are also other things that we also look into, such as discipline, and so that we get you in line with, we want to make sure that there is a whole package at the end of the day, so that you are able to withstand any pressure that comes with being, a sports person, particularly in football, which is what we focus on. So, and then from there, we then source clubs, opportunities, whether it's locally or internationally. Obviously, the international space comes with what you've done, obviously, on the local space. And then, therefore, if you get noticed, and then that's when you move on to the next step, which is the international stage. So, and we also do the, do a bit of grooming in terms of, the finances, also get to get you understand what it means, because there's so much money that you get, as a sportsman, you handle. So you need to have a team of people who've got, absolutely genuine interest in getting to see that, that money is not going to get into your head, or, that you won't be out there throwing money. We get you, we groom you. Education plays a very important, which is what, we always encourage, our clients to study, so that they are in a position to understand what it is, because it's not only about playing football. You need to also understand, the environment as a whole, so that you're able to deal with whatever pressure that comes with being in the industry.
I love the wholesome approach, though, as well, because it's not just about identifying great talent and trying to give him a career and make some money off of him at the same time, because, to be fair, it's a business, and then moving along. I like the fact that there is financial planning, there is education involved in this, because too often, in fact, in South Africa, I was going to say quite often, but the term should be too often in South Africa, we find scenarios whereby when players decide to hang up their boots, and there may well be anywhere between, take a look at Brilliant Kuzwaya because of an injury, from late 20s to perhaps mid 30s, you have a lot of life left to live. And I really like that the idea behind your concept is that it's more than just during your playing days, this is what we're going to do. You are there to make sure that for years to come afterwards, that they are then set on a very impressive and strong foot going forward.
Yes, exactly, because I'm a business person myself. So what I let my clients into my space so that they can see how the business world, is, and that they should not just box themselves into wanting, after retirement, being, either, analysts or coaches, or they should look at other things as well in the business space. So that's where, those skills come in handy, where you teach them to also become, know about the business. Also, not to say that I want them to become lawyers, but there are many things that,
why not?
That
It's a lovely opportunity.
I'm involved in myself personally, that I also share with them sometimes. Say, you can become a mine owner one day. Yeah. I mean, not instead of using the traditional methods of, or go to the environments where it's known that when you retire as a footballer, then you go into. So that's my passion, is to teach them also that, there is other things that you can do other than outside of the football industry, and there are a lot of opportunities. But then also, you need to study also for whatever interest that you have, be it marketing, or be it law, or be it just to, throughout the process of you of you playing, then you gotta strike a balance, football and education. So those two, for me, at the end of the day, when you retire, then you won't be out there not knowing what and having left with whatever that you've made whilst you're still playing football. You can make more actually afterwards.
There's a lot of life still to live.
Yes, because I mean, 35. You can imagine by 35, a lot of players would have retired, and then after that, then what? But if you've adopted those skills through obviously the guidance of your mentors, then you take them with you to various events, business events, so that they learn how these things are done.
Before we let you go, we showed some visuals of a young Percy Tau. He is just one of the very impressive names that falls onto your books here. For football fans, give us an idea of who exactly do you represent to show the wide reach that you have in the world of football.
Okay, in terms of the player himself? Or,
yes.
Oh, okay. Well, where do I start? It has been such a long journey. Well, when I met Percy, he was still very, very young. I mean, still at the time he was at Witbank Spurs, and then he went to join the Sundowns.